the door, and our other friend was seated at our back. You know, it's 4-4-2 football formation. Shortly when we passed that your new departmental junction, where USS used to be, secondary school used to be, when we passed up, Ashana was shouting Jesus. That was all. So it was that the Korokwe fell into the ditch and began to somersault. So when he stopped, he had flung everybody out of the car. It was just two of us left in the car, and the car was now, Korokwe was now upside down. It was myself and the driver who were left in the car because it was so far that we stayed inside. The driver was stuck because his two legs was already broken. We're sitting in front too. I'm not trying to whine your emotions too. It's not Yoruba movie. You know, the car that ran into us, I saw the car coming like this. I just said, Jesus. That was the last thing I knew. The next time I opened my eyes, it was like when Jet Li. I said, just like that. I wanted to also fake that nothing, but you see, you know, if you drive, something would have happened to the water of your car and the engine oil if you've driven for long. The stuffs were emptying on me. The radiator water and the engine oil. My God. I wasn't different from a kilishi. I smelled like barbecue. Thankfully that day I wore a thick trousers. But without thick the trousers I wore I still have this car. I started pushed myself out of the car, forced myself out. This is the shocking story. Why I knew was God. Nobody died in the vehicle either ways, to the glory of God. My friend, before then, there was a final year guy who was in the car. He had finished his final exams. That day he came to school. He didn't even know what he came to do. I think he came to do something. He had finished his final paper. The guy is a Muslim. The guy was seated at the back. I can't forget. His clothes well starched. Fine, fresh guy. The guy's leg was it the one with the driver? Either of them. I think one of them had broken thigh and broken shin. So it was on two sides. Our friend who sat at the back stood up when the car was balanced and fell down back. His lower limbs was off his upper limbs. My friend who sat beside me, I used to laugh at him because it was the cut in his forehead was one bone away from his brain. That was how deep you can relate, Abi. You know how thick the skull is. Now to get a cut that deep where you are one bone away from your brain. That's the picture of the car. I didn't have any cuts on my body. No one cut. The only scar I had was the impact of the hot water. In fact, when we got to the hospital, then they only made my chest on the dashboard. I was built to see a plastic surgeon. I went once, he didn't come. I said I wasn't going again, and that's all. In fact, I told them to discharge me that I am fine. But by the third day, because they brought a man who didn't say one word until he died. They let me. I know they do again. I'm fine. And since after that one appointment with plastic surgeon that I didn't see him, I had never gone to the hospital for anything like that again. I was given a cervical collar. If I check, eventually it turned into bishop collar. If I check my parents' house, it should still be there. I knew it was mercy. That year we had a concert because that thing made me turn back to God. Because I wanted to explore in university. You get? I didn't know God had other plans. Meanwhile, I didn't know my name. I was telling you about name. Is that some of you make attempt at it, but you run? Have you know some people that your friends who have been committing crime, they will not catch them. The day you join them, they will catch all of you. Worst case, they will not forgive all of them and say, you know you're in trouble. I remember I was conducting the choir that year. I give myself away. I was crying. I thought I was singing a song. I didn't know I was saying words. I was saying, I give myself away. Take my life, take my heart. Lord, my life is in your hands. Lord, I'm longing to see your desire fulfilled, revealed in me. I thought that, you see, it's why there are songs that when I don't used to sing it too. I tell people that before you sing songs, read the lyrics. Because spirits don't know Riaza. Spirits don't know you are playing. So when in 2016, God crashed all of those things, I tried to rebuild it again. Then He told me, if you do it, the same thing will happen. I just said, seminary, yeah. Currently, it feels like the best decision of my life, but it's not without scar. I say to guys that if you meet anybody that said that seminary won't along way, you meet any pastor that said I wanted to be a pastor, because even Bible said, who amongst you wants to build a house that will not first sit down and count the cost? Pastor are the most disdained, so to say, because you feel like kinekan. You see, I used to pray. May you not be the reason why a pastor will weep in sorrow. I dread that thing. It's a curse. I'm not trying to scare you to make you honor pastors, so that's not the context. But if you meet any genuine pastor, is a product of many sacrifices. Sometimes even their family don't understand them. They are like, because most times nobody becomes pastor because he failed. There were opportunities they let go. Let's ask Daddy, would you have chosen to go more, sir? Would you have chosen to go more, sir? If you had your way, shall I go more? No, it's the truth. It's the truth. You see, I remember in a situation I was asking somebody that if you even want to marry as a man in Ogbomoso now, what is that thing in Ogbomoso you can use to entice a lady? Akara Ogbomoso? Okay. Etirori. Aside mango. Akara Ogbomoso. Cashew. What else? And as funny as this thing sounds, there are persons who, because they said, Lord, use me, they didn't have a say over their life again. God sent them here. If not for seminary and LAUTECH, remove seminary and LAUTECH from Ogbomoso. Item 7 will not come if there's no LAUTECH now. So imagine that place is empty or just filled with houses. That seminary is just another market. It means that there won't be Baptist teaching hospital. There won't be LAUTECH teaching hospital. Kilonko. What it meant is some of you would not have in your life passed through Ogbomoso, because the only thing that brought you here was probably LAUTECH. But you thought it was LAUTECH. God had a plan. Many of you didn't even choose LAUTECH as first choice. Or maybe they eventually told you that, hey, Shibomo, you're near, oh, LAUTECH. I know this is what I'm saying. They are not in my notes. I'm trying to say that once you give your life off to a person, you don't have control over it again. You don't have control over it again. The day this speaker was bought in the market, the design was that it would bring out sound. But now, a laptop is placed on it. It cannot talk. By design, that was not the design. But because the people who bought it can make anything out of it, this thing has no mind of its own to say anything. This one that you can still tell God, are you sure you're sacrificed to him already? Let me read my note and tidy up before that sister will put up time again. It is the lack of the understanding of what a sacrifice is that makes people think they can give to God and want to know what it is used for. What I wrote here, go. I wanted to go to tithe and offering. Because this one that you gave God, you gave church offering, you believe you are giving God, you gave tithe. And I say, Pastor is using our money. I thought you said you gave it to God. I will listen to Brogbile. You know Brogbile is Ogomosho? You grew up in Ogomosho? Yes, now. If you know Akane Bookshop, that's his brother. Oh, how you don't know? Oh, we have heritage in Ogomosho. There's Brogbile. Where are you from? Let's know where are you from? Are you from Ogomosho? Where are you from? Ibadan. Ibadan. Now, Brogbile began to say something because Brogbile is that if you know the family, they are Ifa stuff. So he said that he grew up with his, I think, granddad or so more like they grew up around Ifa, whatever. At every time the oracle requests for a sacrifice, you know, like you watch a Yoruba movie when they say Garawe Komelu, as though the oracle eats. But you know, people don't argue. If I need Ankara or Pamefa, if I ever wash on it, I'll be foul lash on it. He said one of the things they've learned is that once people bring the thing, it's possible the oracle request for shoes and you brought the shoe. Where you eventually find the shoe is on the leg of one of the Ifa priest's son. And you have no right to say, He said sometimes, I'm quoting him verbatim, he said sometimes when Ifa even request for goat, it's possible that goat, there are ones they will kill and eat, there are some they will not kill. They will leave those ones for reproduction. Now, peradventure you come and see Baba the next time and you see your goat, you don't have a right to say, no, because that one, the day you dropped it, and you cannot even eat of it. If you eat of it, that's how a tradition that does not have posterity hallowed sacrifice. And you know what? Paul in Galatians chapter 2 verse 20 began to say that I have been crucified with Christ. Even though the grammar there is not accurate, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ that lives in me. The life I live in flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God. You see where it becomes difficult? Let me make it worse. One of the ways you begin to check if you are really a living sacrifice. I know this one now because we're in camp. Yes, this is merchandise. Is it merchandise you call it? Everybody's putting on merchandise. On the day that it wasn't the church that told you what to wear, who chose your clothes for you? Who chose the course you are studying in university? Because we've not been taught the concept of the will of God until when people want to get married. When you were writing JAMB, you didn't ask for the will of God before you chose your university. You didn't ask for the will of God before you chose your course. Brother, man, I want will of God. It's Williams you will see, not will of God. Because a will you've not been living in before you get to junctions. When you get there, you'll be under pressure to align to such will. And most likely, you will make mistake. Living Sacrifice Choir. Who chooses the song we sing for us? Because from the testimony of Brogbile, it is the oracle that decides what he wants. You don't come to the oracle with what you feel like you should come with. Let me make it worse. Who decides the amount of offering you give? Who determines the people you keep as company? Let me round up. Not until a man comes to terms with him being a sacrifice and lives like that, God will be handicapped as to maximizing the man. and such will also not be able to maximize God. What I read is simple. Not until, Holy Spirit, help me. Increase your volume slightly. I feel I'm getting inspired. Not until a man comes to the terms that I am a living sacrifice, God will not be able to maximize himself through you. And you would not also be able to maximize God. You see, Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane was saying that, he thought about the many journeys he would come through. He said, let this call pass over me. But Bible said, one for the joy set ahead. He said, however, not my will, but your will. And you see, if everybody doesn't get to that junction where you say, not my will, but your will, it means you are dying. 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 Not my will, but your will. You are dying. Sacrifice is called a voluntary offering. Let me make it worse. In Genesis chapter 22, God began to speak to Abraham. He said, take thy only son, Isaac, whom you love, go and sacrifice him. You see, the life of a living sacrifice is the life of Isaac. Abraham was over 100 years. Isaac was about 19 years. And my Bible says the glory of the youth is in their, that of the aged is in their gray hair. It meant that by standard, Isaac would be stronger than Abraham. Let's analyze it. Bible said that Abraham kept taking Isaac. So Isaac will ask, what are we using for the sacrifice? He kept saying, God will provide. Until they got to the mountain, Abraham tied Isaac's hand. Isaac didn't struggle with his dad. Tied his leg, kept him on the altar. There was no account that Isaac struggled, because if Isaac struggled, Isaac would have knocked down Abraham and ran away. It meant that Isaac, in his heart, believed that this is my father. Anything he makes of my life. 2, I know it's for the best plan. I'm saying, Father, and you are thinking that because he's saying, no to you, think no to you, think he doesn't like you. You don't think he is the one who has seen your end before your beginning began? There are many things you want to do, but you feel God saying no, and you feel like God is making you. This morning on my status, I said something, and what made me say it was because these days everybody has something to say. So we are in a generation advising ourselves. Meanwhile, because if we are as strong as the number of podcasts we have, Christianity should have taken over the country. So what we have is, like somebody will say that, lastly, a sacrifice is that which has no control over itself, up to desires, decision, essentially because it has been given off to another. Loved sister, the face towel, I have no control whether or not she uses it for the face. If she uses it to clean the chair, I have no control over it. I have given it to her. And you see, this of its own cannot even see anything. So how much of a sacrifice are we?